If you're thinking about moving and you want to learn about what everyday life is going to be like in your new town, this is the place for you. On Open House, we sit down with local, top producing real estate agents to help you find the best places to live in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So if you don't want buyer's remorse and you want to find your dream town, we are here for you. So go ahead and book a free call with us and we'll help guide you to the area that is right for you. Now, let's jump in and learn about your new home.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Open House. I'm Mike, and today we're going to be talking with Peter Roberts, a local resident and expert of Smith Mountain Lake, Virginia. We're going to be covering everything from homes to entertainment. So thanks for coming on. Let me start things off with, how long have you been a realtor?
I've been a realtor for almost 40 years, 17 years here at the lake.
So you got a little experience. Oh.
I have a little bit of an experience, yes. Yeah.
So what ended up, you said that there's 17 years. What ended up kind of drawing you to that area?
Well, we had little kids, and I was living in North Carolina, and someone said there's a lake north of there, out of Greensboro, and I said, well, I've always wanted to be on the lake. And so we went up with little kids and went camping. And I found that they have a very, very, very bad disease at Smith Mountain Lake, and it's called Smith Mountain Lake fever. And as soon as you go there, that's all you think about for the rest of your life. And so basically, we finally came up here. I retired from the industry, and I've had my real estate license for probably 40 years, and never used it till I got here. And so it's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, in the realm of diseases to get, I gotta say, it sounds like one of the better ones.
Yes, it's definitely a better one. So I got some stories of parents calling me after they leave, because I tell them, I put them on the boat and tell them that it's a disease. And one lady called me and she said, Pete, I need to tell you something. My son's in the back seat. And he just said, Mom, I got the fever. And guess what? They came back and bought.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, a place like that, 5, 10, 15 years ago would be infinitely more relegated to a vacation spot
Right.
because of its locale. But with the ability for people to ostensibly do their jobs anywhere they feel like doing their jobs, it gives a lot of people more options to just go where they like, go where they're really going to enjoy themselves and know that their employment isn't going to be affected. There's no commute. You wake up, you're on a lake.
Yeah, no, exactly. We don't have the incidents of crime. We don't have the incidents of, I got to take my son here. So just walk, take your bike. I'm not going to worry about it. I mean, it's that safe.
And yeah, there's definitely that, that communal sense of like, comfort in knowing thy neighbor and such that you get from small towns and areas like that you kind of just can't other places, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
What would you say is kind of the median home price in the area?
The median, well, I don't know the median, but I know the average home price right now for waterfront property, now this is going to blow your mind, is a little over $900,000. That's the average price of homes on the water, and that's within the last year. But again, you have to understand that most of our less expensive property disappeared overnight with COVID, because people said, I'm getting out of the city. So the inventory is very low right now, but we still got new properties coming out all the time. So I imagine in another year, the price will probably be, average price will be 700, because we'll get more of the less.
It's definitely, the market is always going to be in fluctuation, but there's definitely a pretty succinct difference between, there's a lot of places you could spend 500,000 and not really be happy with what you got. And I think it's a place like that where, okay, you're going to spend 900,000 million, but you're never going to regret that purchase, because every day you wake up, you go, huh, would you look at that? Like, there's.
Well, you bring up a great point, because we get up, my wife and I get up, and we've been here 17 years. We said, we can't believe we're here. Or, because you look outside, what do you see? You see lake, and boats and animals, and it's no fences,
Yeah.
nothing that I've used to from when I've lived in different cities that I've lived in.
What type of homes are there in the area? Do we have a decent amount of new construction, or are we looking at a lot of pre-existing that have been there a decent amount of time?
It's a combination of both. Again, because of COVID, over the years, people were buying lots and say, when I retire, I'm going to build a home. And so right now we have a lot of construction going on around the lake. And interesting, when you talk to the builders, they're 2 years out. Meaning if you want to build your house, you're on a 2-year waiting list. And it doesn't matter which one you talk to. Let's say there's 20 builders here. There's more than that, I'm sure. But they all have a 2-year waiting list. And they did have a problem not too long ago when building prices were going up and people were canceling, but that has reversed itself. Plywood's down. You don't have to bore you with that type of stuff, but they're busy.
And that's it's one of those good problems,
Yes.
I'd almost rather hear that than like, yeah, we could start your house tomorrow. It's like, well, but why? Does no one else want to be here?
Good point. Good point. Yes.
But then when you hear there's a 2-year waiting list, it's like a club you want to get into. There's a velvet rope around your house, and you got to wait 2 years for it.
Yeah, really.
So when it comes to the economics of the area, obviously, there's not a lot of big industry in the area. So there's going to be a lot of telework and things of that nature. Is anyone commuting from there to maybe Roanoke?
Oh, yes. Good observation. Yeah, we have people going to Roanoke, Lynchburg, actually down to North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Industry-wise, we have the Crillian Hospital System, which is its own med school. We have Wells Fargo, Kroger, Franklin County schools, Plygem, which makes windows, HCA hospitals, Yokohama Tires is all here, all within 30 to 45 minutes.
So there's some things in the area. You're just not going to get that, the massive corporate footprint that you would have in a place,
No.
Like outside of DC and your Alexandria and stuff like that. So
No, it's all smaller industries.
And I'm sure the commute from there to, even a place like Roanoke, which is obviously a much larger city, it's not that much time.
No, that's a good observation. What's interesting, when people come here, coming from the city, they say, well, gee, what's the nearest city? And I said, well, it's 35 to 45 minutes where you want to go there. But the only thing you got to worry about is the deer. You're not going to might have 2 street lights in that length of time. But other than that, it is gorgeous.
I think people nowadays are putting a higher premium on their own personal space. I think you're seeing a lot more people go, and I don't know that I need the city life. I feel like I would rather be kind of city adjacent, where I have my own peace and quiet to come home to, but everything I want to do is also available to me. And right. If you take a gander at Smith Mountain Lake on a map, you can see that, you can pretty much go anywhere on the clock in a circle around, and you could find a larger city place to go, if you want that type of experience. But then you get to go home to the centrally located peace and quiet that you love so much.
Yeah, that's a great observation. That's exactly what we have here. It's like a spoke. We can go out any place we want, and it's not that far.
Yep.
Can I say something about the lake,
Sure,
which I think is very important? The lake is 500 miles of shoreline, and it's 22,000 acres, and it's up to 200 feet deep. So those are sort of statistics. But what's interesting is, for example, if you like the fish, which I don't, they have the Bassmaster tournament here, the Pro Series every couple of years. And they can catch more fish in half an hour than I've caught in my lifetime. I don't know how they do it, but it's pretty impressive.
I too, despite growing up on the water, have no idea how fishing works, because because it's one of those things like you put that on there and you just put it in there and then magic happens, and apparently that's not the case. Apparently that is not the case.
Yeah, no, I can't do it either.
So another thing I know people are putting a premium on, this is also something that I think younger me wouldn't have really understood or processed because I wasn't an adult at the time, even if I thought I was, is that a lot of people make decisions upon where they're moving based on the education system, and they put that extra premium on knowing that their child's going to get a good education. What does that system look like in the area?
We have a great school system. It's Franklin County Schools if you're looking for elementary and middle and high school. And then, but it's a great school system. We also have Christian educated schools that are here, 2 or 3 of those. And then as far as universities are concerned, some people move here because their kids are going to go to Liberty University or they're going to Virginia Tech. All those are within an hour of here. People have moved here because their kids are going to Chapel Hill. They want to be close, but they don't want to be in the city again. And so that Chapel Hill is an hour and a half from here.
Yeah, and I think the other kind of good thing that you see there is that when you have a smaller area and a smaller population, the schooling just generally seems to be better. Your ratio of students to teachers is always going to be better, and I think that's what a lot of people look for when they move to an area like that, and they go, okay, like I know my child's going to get a good education here.
That's a good observation. What I've seen from cities that I've lived in also, there's no fences around the schools. And when I lived in Florida, it was like, it looks like a prison. What are all the fences doing around here? And that's to keep people out that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, also, I remember 14-year-old me. I probably should have been in prison for something, who knows? But the level of terror I caused, so I don't know, maybe the fences aren't the worst idea. Right. Now, a lot of times when we look at areas like this, there's a little less emphasis on a nightlife, so to speak, because people are generally active during the day. People generally, it's a little more of like that family communal experience. What is there to do as far as your restaurants, bars, wineries, distilleries, things of that nature?
Well, we do have wineries in the area, which, believe it or not, are quite good, which I was surprised at initially. But also we have a lot of great restaurants here on the lake. We have some that you can go by boat, which is phenomenal. It's 10 minutes by boat and 45 minutes by car to get there because the lake's so big. We also have, obviously, you can go in the Roanoke where they have a lot of fine dining. Lynchburg has some exceptional restaurants. We also have a speakeasy here. And you say, what's that all about? And I said, probably if you look it up, this area, Franklin County, is known for moonshine. And it basically was the moonshine capital of the United States. And if you saw the movie Lawless, that's about Franklin County. That's about this area. And so it's and you can go into, if you wanted to get the history of that, in Rocky Mount, which is 19 miles from the lake, they have a historical society that talks about the moonshine history. And people did that because that's how they made money. It was during the Prohibition, and they needed to make money, and that's what they did. And so there's a lot of stories, I've met lawyers that were involved with it, people that it's actually sold the sugar. I mean, it's an area with a lot of history.
That's cool. And if we go back to, I agree with you, especially on the wineries part. I kind of had it in my head, like, I know the wines I like. What am I doing drinking a Virginia wine? That doesn't flow off the tongue the same way as, this is from France, or we have a Sonoma Valley. Like when I say we got a Roanoke, it just doesn't. It doesn't sound the same, but they're genuinely good wines. I was very shocked when I was like, would you look at that?
You sound like me. That's exactly what I thought.
Yep. It's like you get that notion in your head. But one thing living in the area, I think I've kind of underappreciated the expansive nature of Virginia on the whole, and to discover that there is a ton of really kind of beautiful things in Virginia, especially if you're looking for hiking and trails and all that stuff. It's just inundated all around because you have the mountains and you have the different terrains, but then you also have these really beautiful wineries that I've found that I'm like, wow, I didn't know this was as close as it is.
Yes. Yep. And the wineries are close. And obviously, as you just said, when you get into the wineries, the scenery that you get from the winery, looking over at the mountains, is phenomenal. And the lake, back to the lake is surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains. So if you're on the water, that's what you see in the distance is the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's just beautiful. And like I said, it's one of those things that you kind of, was there anything in the kind of special events locale department?
Well, the special events, I think one of the biggest ones here, which everybody wants to come to, is the 4th of July, believe it or not, on the lake.
Let me intro that a little better so it can be edited.
Okay.
Right. So when it comes to special events in the area, be it, county fairs, festivals, whatever, I know we talked on the fishing competitions and things like that,
Sure.
which I'm sure are cool to check out. Is there anything else that goes on?
Well, they do have the Chili Fest, which is done once a year, where the community comes together and different businesses have their own little tent, supposedly. And in fact, even our office, our Berkshire Hathaway office, is going to have a booth this year making our own chili. So that should be interesting. And that gets really crowded. It's elbow to elbow there. And it's right on the bridge here at the lake. I mentioned the fishing tournament, which you have also mentioned. We also have, the 4th of July. Believe it or not, there's 3,000 to 5,000 boats in the water at one time. And the fireworks are going off from the marina up high. And so you get the reflection of the red, white, and green lights in the water, with the fireworks also reflecting in the water. And so it is, my kids cannot wait to get here every year.
Yeah, that sounds like when you put together that visual like that, it's like, okay, I could get down on that.
Yeah. The trouble is they don't start until about 10:30 at night, and I'm ready to go home and go to bed. But it's awesome.
Look, you got to add in that bonus nap at some point throughout the day to really get you the free time on that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool thing to think about. That many boats on the lake with the fireworks going off. That's probably pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
If you had to kind of give a piece of advice to anyone looking to buy in the area, what would you say that piece of advice would be?
Well, obviously, like anybody coming to the lake or in this area, take your time. There is no hurry. You don't want to make a snap decision and have buyer's remorse. Just get yourself a good agent, which hopefully I would be the one you'd want to call, and go to more than one area. The lake is huge, 500 miles of shoreline. You need to see what's everywhere, all over the lake. And the reason I say that is the last thing I'd want, or I think any agent would want, to take you someplace and show you a property and you buy it and then find out, well, Pete never showed me this. He never showed me this area of the lake. And so the whole idea is just take your time. The right property will show up for you at the right time.
I think that's one thing that people kind of don't do in these processes, that is probably a really smart thing, is to, go on a vacation.
Yes.
Really, really go in, spend some time, see an area, figure it out, make sure it just kind of fits what you're looking for. And like you said, in an area like that, there's no rush. It's not you need to get in here and buy now. It's you need to start looking. You need to, like you said, another thing that I think people undervalue is finding a good agent, finding someone who's generally a good advocate for you as the consumer. I think people kind of undervalue that. You want someone who knows the area and who also is good at understanding what you're looking for. Maybe you have a list of 100 things and you only get 80% of those things. Well, that might be like the best fit for you.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's a process. It took
Yeah.
me 20 years to get here. And when I'm with customers, I say, I don't have 20 years left. So buy a little sooner.
If you could please get it in under that particular deadline, that'd be very nice of you. All right. Well, Pete, thanks so much for taking the time to share your knowledge of Smith Mountain Lake with us today. I think we all learned something. If you're thinking of moving to the area, Open House can match you with a local expert like Pete from among our partner agents and help him facilitate your move into Smith Mountain Lake. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.